Have you ever wanted to start a journal, but weren't quite sure how to get started? If so, this video, it is for you. My name is Amanda Close, and I have been writing in journals for over 40 years. This is my video about how to get started, no matter how old you are, no matter how much you have done in the past with writing. This is really a catch-all for anybody. And if you are an experienced journaler, if you've been keeping a journal for a long time, please stick around and chime in the comments with any additional recommendations, ideas, favorite notebooks, favorite pens, all that sort of stuff. So first, you're gonna need a notebook. That's right. You're gonna pick one that you love. You can go to the Moleskine store. I stopped by earlier this week when I was thinking about this video and just admired the amazing array of notebooks. You can get them in dot grid, you can get them lined, you can get them plain. It's really up to your preference. If you feel like you need lines to keep you organized and straight, then do the lined version. I personally have a preference for notebooks that are a little bit more freeform. So I get blank notebooks instead of lined, and they make me really, really super happy. Lately, I have been using this one. It is a Leuchtturm, which is another, I believe it's a German brand. I believe it is German for lighthouse. So I like the concept of a notebook offering light and guidance. I think that is a very apt description. But you also don't have to get fancy notebooks like these. You are absolutely welcome. And honestly, for the first 10 years that I was keeping journals, I was buying composition notebooks at drugstores. You know, I just was in a CVS and there was a lovely stack. I was very tempted to buy one, but I have too many notebooks, so I had to refrain. Spending not that much money on a notebook can also be very freeing. You know, you don't feel like it's so precious and that you're reluctant to write because you don't want to sort of waste the good paper and all that sort of stuff. You know, pick up whatever you feel is good. I would say I would get a size that is easy to carry with you. And I would pick a book that you like so that you want to have it with you as often as possible and that you are using it when you have downtime. Part 2 is about the pen. I think the main thing that I want to convey when we're talking about pens is that you want to find something that you love, that flows, that you feel you can really not get in the way of the words coming out of your mind and landing on the paper. Okay, so part 3, I wanted to talk briefly about the kinds of journals. I mean, I keep a sort of run-of-the-mill journal that is a mashup of lots of different things. I do movie reviews and I write about books that I've loved and I do daily events, but I also write about things I'm worried about or business plans that I'm excited to, you know, explore or workshops that I'm organizing. All of that kind of finds its way into my journal, as well as milestones from my family and little anecdotes about this critter who is just so magical but refuses to be parted from me at all. So she's now my sidekick on this video. You can also do a bullet journal, especially if you're trying to accomplish specific goals. And then there's the Hobonichi Daily, which has daily spots for people to write. I know my sister is a big fan of the Hobonichi. She writes religiously every morning. I don't like quite as much structure. Sometimes I write 6 pages and sometimes I write half a page or just a sentence. And so I like the freedom of the blank book, but you should choose what you most like. I should mention I keep a planner separate, which is where I have all of the dates and the sort of plans for vacation, task lists, doctor's appointments, things like that. I find it useful to have that separate. And I also keep a sketchbook or an art journal. I always have one around. Sometimes they are made with watercolor paper. Sometimes they are heavier duty sketchbook paper, meaning a little thicker than a regular writing diary, just so that I can use gouache or I can use colored pencils and markers, and they don't typically bleed through. There are markers that do bleed through even the nicer papers. So that is something to think about. Those are the kinds of journals. I think you will make your own decision on where you want to go with it and how you want it to look. And I think the main thing now is, now that you've got your notebook and you have a pen and you want to get started and you want to write on the first page, there can be almost a crippling moment of, uh-oh, what do I start with? So I'm going to give you something to start with right now. You don't have to take my exact advice, but I do think that this is a good piece of advice. And I learned this actually from my grandmother, who always left 3 or 4 pages at the front of her journals blank. And she did that specifically so that she was able to write in a quote or a prayer or a poem, something that made her think and something that really sort of spoke to this element of kind of self-improvement. So I love that. I love going through her old journals and looking at the quotes that she's included in the front. It's often Psalms and different prayers, and I think that there's something very wonderful and graceful about that. I usually start my journals on the 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever, a few pages in, and that way I have loads of room in the beginning to add quotes as I go through the year and I come across things that I love or I want to capture in some way. I'm going to give you a quote. That's right, I'm going to give you a quote. It is a quote from my favorite poet. Her name is Mary Oliver, if you are familiar with her. I adore her. I think one of the reasons I love her so much is that so much of what she writes about is the act of observing and how powerful that is, how your life becomes more meaningful the more you are aware of what is going on in the broader world and the context of things. She has several amazing poems. I highly recommend that you Google immediately, or actually I'll include the link. You don't have to Google, sorry, I don't mean to be lazy. I'll put a link for Wild Geese, the morning poem. They are all incredible, and I'll leave the links below. I have a snippet from a particular poem called When Death Comes. The snippet is very short. The poem itself is worth tracking down. Again, I'll have the link. Track down the full poem and read it. Also, honestly, here is the book itself. This is just one of many of the books that she has come out with. This is New and Selected Poems, Volume 1. So there's a lot actually packed into this particular book. I just cannot recommend this poet highly enough. She is extraordinary. I'm not going to read the whole poem because I want to be very respectful of copyright. She's just that much of a gem that I want to support her in any way I can. I know she passed away a while ago. I feel like this is a little bit the crux of the poem, but there's so much more to it, so please do read the whole thing. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. I just think she has such a way with language, and it is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of writing. Check out those poems, links below. Feel free to put the entire poem in, or just the snippet I read, or just a different snippet of one that you really love. The one that begins with "You don't have to be good" is also super relevant to this conversation. I know a lot of people are very concerned that they, just from the comments from my last video, that they didn't have an exciting enough life, that somehow they weren't worthy of a journal. And I think Mary Oliver flips that completely on its head and really points out that these small moments in our lives can be really quite extraordinary and honestly elevated and close to God. If you have a different poem that you want to put down, do it. If you have a prayer that you want to think about every day, put that in. If you have a quote from a friend, do that. So just pull something in that gives you a little bit of context of broader things you love right now. Over the years, you'll find that your poems may change. I had different poems when I was younger. I was super into Auden at one point. And before that, well, I could go down the list. Maybe we'll save that for a different video. But do that and then turn the page. And on the page, whatever page you start on, maybe 2-3 pages later, I want you to write today's date. I would like you to put the time and the temperature, and then beneath that, the location, where you are sitting right now. And even if you write in the same place every single day, the time, the location, all of that stuff might change. I like having those sort of date stamps. Part of it is it keeps me organized. I tend to continue writing. I don't turn the page for a new day. I continue writing, and so sometimes if I only write one sentence, I'll have 3 of those on one page, and that's okay. It kind of brings me back, it orients me in the text, and I know where I am. One little piece of advice is include the year, because sometimes when I've gone through old journals, especially of my grandmother's, she hasn't included the year, and it's taken me a lot of sleuth work on certain days to figure out what year she was actually talking about. That's just if you care about navigating. And I think that that's something that, I enjoy going back and looking at my previous writing, and I think you might as well. After you've done that header, after you've done all that, you're ready to start writing. And in order to do that, I have 7 prompts. That's right, 7 prompts. The idea here is that you have a prompt a day if you want to do a daily habit, but there is no pressure. If there's anything you take away from this video, you know that anything goes, truly. I mean, you could just do a little drawing on that first day. You could do a little, pick up a pack of markers and just do a little like doodle and then write something. There is no pressure one way or the other. And I really feel that it's important to bring this idea across. But I've created 7 prompts just in case. You can take a month to do all 7. You can take a week to do all 7. You can toss them out and create 7 new prompts of your own. You can ignore prompts altogether and do the opposite of what I suggest. I am 100% supportive of however you want to do this. But for those who actually said, I don't know what to write, I'm going to give you some stuff to write about. So day 1, you're going to write about why do you want to start a journal. You can write a sentence, you can write a paragraph, you can write 4 pages. Write it down. Maybe it's because you want to remember a particular time in your life. Maybe it's because you are at the age where you realize that you want to pass some information down to your kids. Maybe you just are trying to make sense of what happened in the last few months of a relationship or a job that didn't work out, or whatever it is. Write down why it is that you are sitting here with a notebook open and a pen in your hand. Prompt and day number 2. Describe 2 to 3 moments that you noticed today. If you're writing first thing in the morning, you are welcome to write about yesterday. But really the moments can be as simple as I was making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I heard a sound that intrigued me. Or it could be as I was entering my building, somebody held the door for me and laughed and cracked a joke. And I really appreciated that because sometimes I feel very removed from everybody in this very crowded city. Whatever it is, what are the 2 or 3 moments that you would want to highlight as you think back on your day? And again, no moment is too small. This is great. It might be I was walking the dog and we had a great moment of connection. And that's important. So put it down. Prompt number 3 or day number 3 is write about a book or an article that you read recently. What did you like about it or not like about it, and why? Just those simple questions. It doesn't have to be a book, but write a few sentences about something that you recently read. If you're not a big reader, write about a TV show that you've been watching or a movie that you were curious about, or I don't know, maybe a TikTok that really struck you that felt like it spoke truth. Write about it. Why did it speak to you? Why was it important? Day number 4, what do you feel excited about in your life right now? What does it look like? And how can you build on that excitement? This could be anything. It could be your reading habits. It could be starting this new journal. It could be starting your YouTube channel. That's what I've been writing about lately. It's been fascinating. But also I've been writing about my family. I've been writing about vacation that we're planning for some summer things that are going to be really great, especially for my son. He's at the age where he's doing some really exciting new things, pushing himself in new directions. Write about what's exciting in your life right now. Day number 5 or prompt number 5. What worries you? What are some of the ways you could manage through those worries? Day number 6, what is your favorite hobby? Are you good at it? I'm terrible at knitting, but I really, really enjoy it. And I feel like if I write about it, it's going to be fun because it'll remind me of my roommates from college who taught me how to knit. Some of those moments in time when I've gone through major knitting crazes and some of the terrible things I've created, but had so much fun doing it. And then number 7, this is the final one. What brings you the most joy? Describe it and describe how it makes you feel. The 8th prompt is quickly brainstorm 7 questions for yourself to answer in the week to come. So that's your 8th. That's bonus. Just for you. All right. There are a lot of questions in the comments from my last couple of videos about how do you start a habit? How do you keep a habit? How do you get it to be a regular thing that you do? If you listen to like a Charles Duhigg or a James Clear, there's a lot of emphasis on habit stacking and making it very easy and accessible. And so that means, and I think I actually espouse this as well, keep your book close by, keep it in your handbag or your briefcase or your backpack. Keep good pens around, make it so that you enjoy opening the notebook and you enjoy using the pen. I think this is why you see so many creative people getting themselves a latte, is that you enjoy that latte and that triggers the secondary piece, which is the writing, or maybe it makes the writing that much more pleasurable because you're enjoying some kind of a snack or something delicious to drink. Sometimes I just feel like I need to get out of my apartment, so you don't have to go to a place with an $8 latte. I've been actually doing a lot of writing in a place called Naya, which is around the corner from our apartment, and it has great Middle Eastern food. I'll go for lunch, grab a salad, and then I can sit and write for a while because it's giant windows, great light, good food, and not too expensive. So I do that with some frequency. When it gets warmer, I love to go to the park and sit on a bench and write and just take it all in, watch people go by. Brooklyn's fun because it's like the whole world goes by at some point or another. And that gives you more stuff to write about. So I do find that once you settle into a groove, it becomes part of your pattern, part of what you do. I will certainly, I'm sure, talk about habits and how to create a habit in future videos, but I'm going to leave it here for now. I hope that you will begin if you haven't already. Please comment below with your favorite, quotes, especially for people's first page. If you all could light up the comments with quotes from, your favorites, how powerful is that? Then we've got we're cooking with gas. I mean, that is awesome. And also any books that you recommend. I am going to do a video coming up on books that people have recommended. I haven't read them all yet, at least the sort of handful that I want to talk about, but I'm really thankful for all of those comments, and I just love this conversation, and I hope that everybody will come back and keep writing and keep talking, and I hope you have a wonderful week.